Okay, hi Tino. I take it we're live now. Norman has just sent me a message telling me that we're live, so I guess we can start the show. Great stuff. Hi Tino and hi Miji. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Patrick.
That's great, hey. Maybe for the benefit of our viewers, I'd like you guys to introduce yourselves, but I'll just give a brief background, at least the background that I received about the two of you. So we're going to be hosting Tino Nyandoro and Miji Kayombo, and you guys are a couple that has been together for about 4.5 years. Now, maybe Tino, just to throw you under the bus now, if you could just tell us a bit more about yourself, and then I'll just go over to you, Miji, and then you could just tell me a bit about yourself and what it is that you do. I do have the brief profiles, but I'll be happy to hear you guys tell us and just let our viewers know what you're into.
Okay, my name is Tino Nyandoro, for those who don't know, and I'm a photographer. I've been doing it for about 6 years now, officially. Self-taught, and I think not a lot of people know this, but I've been working formally for the past 6 months, uh, thanks to Corona. And I think that's it in a nutshell. I won't talk about my primary school education or anything.
I like the way you say for those who don't know, it's like you're going to ask the next question and say, which cave have you been under if you don't know that? No, excellent for that. But you also do have your own side hustle. I don't think you mentioned that because you mentioned that you've started working formally now for the past, what, 6 months to COVID. And then you've got your own photography business, which you started about 5 years ago.
True.
Okay, so what I'm finding now is that when you then got into your relationship and marriage, you already started your own business.
I had.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Miji,
Yeah. About a year.
sorry, about a
Yeah,
year.
I think. Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you, Miji, what are you all about?
Well, my name is Miji Nyandoro Ni Kayombo.
Miji.
Yes, yes.
For the correction. What language is that though?
It's Nyanja. My father was
Oh,
Zambian. Yes,
okay. All right.
yes. Anyway, on a day-to-day, I'm a customer services and public relations officer for a finance firm. I've been part of it for about 2 years, going on 3. And previously, before that, I was into programming. So yeah, it was quite a switch for me, but that's what I'm currently doing. And I also have my own side business. I crochet. I crochet baby pieces. I crochet winter wear, swimwear, that kind of thing. So it's about me. For those who don't know me,
And K from they just called out of. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Now, you started your business before you got married. Miji, you started yours like a year or so after you got married. And just from the business descriptions, I think Tino's into photography, which makes me assume that you pay attention to detail. Miji, you in customer service and public relations. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking that you're the good communicator in this relationship. So I think I'm going to have much fun with you guys today. And I hope that the people that are viewing this live are going to have just as much fun as we are going to. But before we start, I'd just like to put the statement out there to all the viewers that are watching to say everything that you guys are going to say is not a recommendation or advice to couples on how they need to be handling their finances. This is just simply you guys telling us what you have done, what you're probably going to do, and how you plan to carry it on forward into the future. So anyone that's watching, just take it with a bit of salt. I don't know how you're going to take it, but it's not advice. The couple is just purely telling us what they've been doing. So into the questions now. I did say I was going to go light on you guys, so don't worry too much about the questions. Now, like I said, you said you have been into you've been in business before, and you've been in your relationship for about 4 years now. But at this stage, would you guys really say that you're still discussing money issues as to who's paying for the dinner dates, who's paying for movies, who's paying for what? Are you still at that stage where you still have this conversation, or these roles are now clearly defined?
I think we're in between. There's times we obviously think, let me spoil Miji, let me take her out, but it's now ingrained in us. I know that if I suggest a date, I know that I'm the one paying. if she suggests a date, I'm the one paying. So it's I think we aren't set. We don't have a rule on it. I think we're just fluid. We go with whatever the moment is. Because there's times that I'll know she has the money.
Okay.
So where we are.
We're going to get to a question that talks about who has the money and whose money it really is, but we're still warming it up now. And you are in the creative industry. You did mention that you're in photography, but a lot of people just don't understand the creative space. And I'm sure you've got constant battles with your clients in terms of how you're pricing the services that you're offering them. So how do you deal with that? Because if you come to me and tell me that you want to take a photo or do a photo shoot, to me it's just like a photo. But there's a lot that goes into it. So how do you deal with that when you're working with your clients?
It's a tricky one because half the time people come to me, they know me because they see my work somewhere. So the perceived value of the work, I think, eliminates that headache. And then, like you said, some people come and say, all you're doing is pressing a button. Like myself, smartphone that's better than your camera. So what I focus on, I try and I think it's about quality. Quality speaks for itself. Where I get to a point where people can't question why I'm charging $100 or $200 for a shoot. That's how I deal with it. It's a tricky one, though.
Okay. Well, maybe just going into the details of the camera lens. So recently I just came across a joke like that on social media where someone's just speaking about all the learning that they have to go through, the DSL lenses and whatnot that the client might not have, and if they feel they just need to negotiate the price lower, then you are willing to probably teach them how to do photos for themselves. But these are the kind of things we come across, and I know in the creative space it happens a lot.
It does.
And then with you, Miji, you started your business like after you already got into the relationship. And my question to you now would be to say, when you then started, did your spending patterns then change? Because I'm going to assume that prior to you starting your business and getting the financial independence, so to speak, there's a lot that Tino probably did. So what new responsibilities did you then take on having the extra income that came in?
Like responsibilities in our home or just in general? Well, starting off obviously within our home, being able to have an income and being able to also contribute to basically everything, like what he said earlier, that with fluid, it's not necessarily that you do this or you do that and stuff like that. But going back to when I started crocheting when I was really young. My mom taught me, but I think when I went to university and I realized how cold Gwiru was, I started making hats for my friends and the like, and I started selling them. And I think around that time when I had that extra money that wasn't necessarily from my mom, that's when I realized, okay, now that it's my money, let me now learn how to budget and let me learn how to make sure my money stretches out. If I have plans for it, this is what I do to save and all of that. So I think in terms of just knowing that it's not necessarily money from somewhere else and it's your money, you naturally automatically start having a way of thinking that's different, where you know how much it's worth, how many hours I spent making something. And yeah, that just gave me sort of like an innate responsibility as to how I spend our money.
Okay, we're getting there, don't worry. I mean, would you really say Tino is a romantic guy? Because right now I need to ask him how he proposed.
Oh!
I need to know, because I need to know if you got down on one knee with the string quartet playing in the background, or did you guys just discuss marriage and like, I'm gonna come and meet your aunt? How did it go down?
Tino did it for TV. It was so nice. We had gone on holiday to Zanzibar, and yes, we got down on one knee. There was no music, but it was at the beach, sort of like a private section of the beach, and with the waves. And support, but yeah, I did it in a very, very romantic way. And I mean, apart from like the proposal itself, in general, he's a very romantic guy.
Oh, nice. Now, clearly he wasn't going cheap on the proposal, but now here's another question for you. The rock, was it diamond? Was it cubic zirconia?
Diamond. Even more. I was like, yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, I think it was 2 months of planning where I did look at different options where I was like, we're planning the holidays together, but I was planning the proposal behind it. So whatever budget we did have for the holiday, I was also planning for the proposal in the back. So when we had an extra $200, maybe we had an extra $50 because money had to go towards the ring. So it was hard. Like, is the ring that important that if I get cubic zirconium, would it matter? It didn't matter. Yes,
I think you bring a lot of question, guys, out there because diamond is expensive. Okay, sorry?
They must just plan properly. Yeah. Not putting pressure for you to go to the month,
No, I know, but still, no matter how hard you plan it, it's still a bit difficult, eh? But I hear you, and the planning obviously does need to come in because if you're going to be getting into a marriage, there's a lot of planning that has to take place prior to the commitment. But after you guys made the commitment to get married, was there ever a time that you then sat down to discuss how you'd handle your personal finances and how you share the responsibilities in the marriage?
I don't think it was like a particular day where we were like, okay, fine, let's have this conversation that we haven't had before yet, I think generally, as you know, we did date for quite a while. And we started dating, we were in our parents' houses, we progressed to live in separate apartments, and then finally together. So I think throughout those different processes in our lives, the aspect of how you spend money and how you are with money, what you plan to do when you're alone versus when you're together, those kind of conversations did come up quite a lot. So it wasn't like something that just sprung up on us.
Okay. But now, it also happens, in African culture, well, in our culture as well, to then say that, after you guys get married, I mean, the relatives do sit down on your behalf and decide which Mzukuru or so you're going to stay with, which relative you now need to start taking care of as a couple. And did similar things happen in your case, and how have you been dealing with the extended family as far as taking care of their financial needs is concerned?
I think on the side of, let's say, staying with someone, I think it's still early days, I can't say it won't happen, but I think it's still, in terms of the marriage, it's still very early. So I think everyone is still giving us space to, I guess, find our feet and figure out a direction for our lives. It does happen, I wouldn't be against it happening. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but the biggest thing is being ready for it. And I think we've also been through it growing up, the cousins that you stay with, and you've kind of seen the steps your parents had to go through to make sure that 7 mouths instead of 5 are fed, or people are going to school properly. So I think we've all learned from that without really realizing it.
And I think, in addition to what Tino said, that it doesn't necessarily have to be something as major as maybe adopting a relative or a niece or a cousin, but just in general, where there's instances whereby there's a family emergency, whereby, you have to contribute something, or, we still help out our parents and that kind of thing. So I mean, that kind of stuff is also quite helpful in terms of like preparing you should the need arise for you to do something bigger than what we were already doing. So yeah.
I mean, that's interesting, and it's interesting that you're taking note of it and seeing how you can handle it. But I know COVID has also thrown in another curveball into everything else. So you've got extended family that you need to consider. Now there's the COVID pandemic that's upon us. It's obviously affected you guys as a couple and in your businesses. But what has the impact been for you? How terrible has the impact been that COVID has brought about?
I think for me the biggest thing is I had to find formal employment. I mean, if you'd asked me 8 months ago, would you ever take a formal job? I would have flat out said no. But I think I got to a point as well where it was now pressure on me to carry both of us. And I think, as I'm saying this generally, as men we struggle to adapt to negative change. Because when I try to tell me, I have my own business, I'm known out there, I can't be seen working for someone else. But I think you have to think beyond yourself sometimes. And I was fortunate enough to get a job within COVID. And I think all the things are easing up a bit. I managed to also start doing my own thing again on the side. It's a juggling act, but I'm fortunate enough to have two sources of income.
Wow, as difficult as it was, I think it also takes a real man to admit that your wife did carry the both of you at some stage, because a lot of us wouldn't admit that. But thanks for sharing that as well. But is there anything positive that you say did come out of COVID? I mean, okay, well, you spoke about getting a job, right? And in the midst of COVID, when probably a lot of companies were retrenching. Apart from that, would you say there are any other positives that could have come up?
Yeah, I think so. Just like from like the general day to day, the COVID happened with the lockdown, for example, happened within the week of Aurora. So we're now forced to like really get to know each other with no influence or from outside. But I think it did, because even after COVID, like during lockdown, we weren't sure about when next you're going to leave the house, what your salary is going to be like. I was still working from home, but I wasn't sure if the next month my boss was going to tell me, oh no, we're finally doing salary cuts. Everyone was having salary cuts at the time. So you're forced now to start thinking about the next month. Even if your salary is just enough for like hand to mouth, you're now starting to think, okay, you need to stretch out of this, you need to sacrifice that. And there was a lot of juggling and making sure that you tried your best to be okay for the coming days, because you didn't know what it was going to be like. So a lot of budgeting went into place, a lot of planning, a lot of sacrifice. Those certain things that I was so used to having, where I thought we ended up thinking is really necessary. Let's just make sure that the next 2-3 months we have this year, just in case. So there's a lot of that kind of planning and thinking ahead that we hadn't really thought of in that way, not knowing that a pandemic would ever make you think like that.
I like the response that you gave, because in all honesty, even when I was preparing my notes and drafting these questions, that's the response that I hoped you'd give, because I mean, you guys are newly married, and with lockdown, it means no relatives are coming over to your place, and you don't have to go and see them either. It's just the two of you. So I was hoping you said that, and you did. So thank you for bringing that up, because a lot does happen in the first year of marriage, and you guys really need to be together for it. Now, I also just want to find out, like, when you were dating or as you were planning towards getting married, what would you guys say were the most important financial questions you needed to ask each other? I mean, before you actually get into the marriage, what would you think is the most important thing that you need to know about your spouse financially before you actually get into the commitment?
I think for me, I would say how she is with money and how she is without money. I think that's a case of character. There's someone, a different person, when they have excess money, do you see them twice a week instead of 5 times a week? And then when they have no money, what they do to get back, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's my most important question. How are you on both extremes?
And like you said, for me it's the same thing. But I'm sort of like a person who likes planning and stuff like that. And I always wanted to know, like, when you do have money, how do you spend it? What are your priorities? What are your things that you feel like, luxuries and that kind of thing? And in the back of my mind, I think my mom just raised me knowing, like, that there's always family that you need to take care of. And I needed to make sure that, I understood that about him, that you do know that it's not always just going to be us. There's going to be a time when there's going to be a funeral, or there's going to be a graduation that we need to put towards, our parents can have emergencies, and that kind of thing. I just wanted to make sure that, you need to do it because you want to, not because you feel like you're time to. So that kind of state of mind also was very important for me.
Okay, now Miji, you bring an important thing now. You bring up an important thing to then talk about the two families that are now coming together. Now, but how would you feel about merging your finances as well? Because obviously you had some income, or there were other things that you were doing that were of financial gain to you, and so was Tino. And now you're together. And what do you guys feel? How do you feel about merging your finances now? Is her money, his money? Do you then put it all together into one basket and then share the money and plan it together? How do you feel about that? I mean, you could even have taken as far as opening a joint bank account. How do you handle that?
Well, his money, our money. I think we haven't, to be honest, we haven't reached that stage of saying let's merge our accounts. But I think so far, what's really good for us is just being transparent with what we have. Not necessarily saying that, oh no, I know that you earn this amount of money, therefore I need to account for every single cent. But just being able to have an idea to say, okay, fine, together, this is the rough idea of how much we have. Because at the end of the day, even if you're married, you're still individuals. There's times that I want to be with my friends. I don't want to reach that stage where I'm not saying, oh, no, Tina, can I please have 20 bucks? I want to go for lunch with my friends. But just in general, just having that sort of, being on the same page in terms of our finances, because we know our goals together. We tackle our goals together. You're going to cover this, cool, I'll cover that. And, I think maybe in the future it would help to have certain things joined. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like it's not an option. It's just that, we need it.
Okay. I think that's interesting and an honest response. But if you were to merge your income, right, and to bring your finances together, what major financial goals would you be interested in working on together? Considering your combined income now, I don't know, major projects like buying your first house together if you don't already have one, and major holidays or moving out of the country and stuff like that. What major financial goals would you then consider together on a combined income?
I think the biggest thing we talk about is property, be it a property somewhere. I think that's what we really look toward. I mean, I have a weird habit of going onto classifieds or property website and just looking at the price of that, just so that I know where.
And he looks at serious ones, the most expensive ones.
But paid property, I'll say a second vehicle.
Okay.
But at least we both have our.
Yeah.
Miji was already coming in there talking about how expensive the properties are that you look at. So obviously my next question now will be how you deal with this conflict. I mean, how do you deal with financial conflict? Are there ever situations where you feel like money is being spent on things that it shouldn't be spent on, or in a way that it shouldn't be spent? And then how do you deal with that conflict?
I mean, I think it comes up all the time in any relationship, because I've been here different people, and it's something that also, like, we're very different in the way we handle money. So it's a conversation that we have often. But I think the most important thing is just being able to communicate it. I think in the beginning, it was quite hard, whereby, why did you get it? Or why did you get it? That kind of thing, and just hoping that it'll fix itself. But I think we've reached that point where we now know each other. And talking to each other to the extent that when you do a particular thing, it's almost like you're explaining yourself, or you give a disclaimer, or you talk about it before you do it, because you know how the other person feels about it, or you know what your combined goals are. I mean, apart from having houses and all these material things, we're also thinking about, like, when we have children, in terms of, like, having them also sort of, like, communicate effectively in terms of, like, finance, because it's quite an important thing.
Tino, do you have anything to say? She spoke about you guys know each other. Do you agree to that?
Yeah, I do, and I think just to give context to what I think just to give context to what Miji said, we have very different spending habits. Miji's very she budgets. Miji knows how much he spends down to the cent
every month.
And I'm someone who's compulsive. If I feel like let's go on a date, we're out on a date. If I feel like let me go out with friends, I'm out with friends. If I feel like let me buy an extra tomato in the shop, I'll do that. Whereas Miji knows that if I spend money here, it's affecting everything down the line, because now we have $1 less for the $1 million house, or $1 less for that Bugatti. So it's we have to come to a point where we understand each other's habits, we respect them, and try not to change the person too much to a point where I'm pretending to save, but I'm hiding $10 behind you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to just do this short exercise. Well, it's just one question, just to find out how well you guys really know each other. Because you're talking about, you know what she's thinking, she knows what you're thinking. But you guys are married, customary, right? And you're planning the white wedding.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, I need you individually to tell me how much you're planning on spending on the white wedding. Don't tip each other off. Just think of the figure individually. Tino, I need you to tell me how much you're planning for the white wedding. Miji, I need you to do the same thing. When I ask the question, you just tell me the figures. Right, I'm sure you have thought about it. How much are you planning to spend on the white wedding?
2.
Don't ask.
I'll count him down.
What's the figure for both of you?
1, 2, 3, go. 4,000.
That was planned.
It was planned. You think I'm gonna go around not think about budget?
We have a spreadsheet that we look at
Every day.
Every hour. Every hour. We have a spreadsheet.
Awesome. I take it the budget is already laid out. You guys already know. In my mind, I was thinking maybe you hadn't gone that far in terms of the financial planning for the wedding, and Miji has her own plans, Tino has your own plans, and now just trying to synchronize everything is where the challenge is, because really the white wedding is the bride's. So I'm glad you guys.
It's mine as well.
We have a group selling here, guys. Woo! And I mean, as Tino's explained that, I'm very calculated and very, lists and this and that, and he might be, impulse here and there. He's also quite organized within his madness. So I think when we've got big things to plan for, it's actually quite simple in terms of trying to be on the same path. Of course, even though we're on the same path, someone will suggest Bugatti. Well, I'm suggesting something else, but I mean, the skeleton of the thing, we're quite the same. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah. Now, in deciding how you spend your money, is there ever an amount which you need to discuss prior to a purchase that you're committing to? I mean, do you have thresholds in the relationship to say above this amount, let's discuss it? Anything below that, it's free play. How do you handle such thresholds? Do you have such a threshold?
I don't think so.
It's not a number. When you yourself,
it's a behavior. I think the behavior, across.
You yourself, when he's just gonna ask me. You find him saying, "Oh, by the way, I bought this here. Nice. Like, oh, yeah."
I think it's really more than rent. More than rent, I think.
We'll just pay the rental amount.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in previous live chats that we've had on this On the Money conversation series, we've spoken at length about investing in different asset classes. We talk about investing in properties, in shares, money market instruments, and the like. But for you guys, what I probably want to know is how you feel about investing in family. Maybe the extended family that, there are certain people that you find that have got businesses that they want to start, and they're always there. Certain kids that might be there that have got potential at school and they need to further their studies. What's your policy on loaning money to family?
I think at the first thought of it, it's not attractive to some people, where you're like, each family, next thing we're out for blood or something like that, should anything turn sour. But I think in general, if you present yourself with something that's quite feasible, that's promising, and is showing quite good returns, then I don't see what the problem is. And not necessarily just investing in every single family member, or else you'll be known as the sponsor. whether it's not something that's a bit shaky, they know, he's gonna help us with that. But I think it's also just looking into it as you would any business, and not necessarily saying, "Oh no, I'm just doing this because it's my family." But at the end of the day, this is money that we're talking about. So you need to present yourself with something that's quite strong in structure, and it's something
I think, like Miji said, I think you have to approach it as a business decision. I think you take the emotion out of it, because if you decide emotionally, I think someone's bound to get hurt, because family is tricky. There's times where money doesn't come back, and do I disown you as a cousin? And secondly, the second that you help one, you have to help many, because someone's going to hear that I gave you $5. I also need $5 for my child. And it'll be genuine, but it's just not in your budget. So I think you have to take it with a pinch of salt and decide business minded.
Yeah. It is now.
I like that. And family members will still keep coming back. Once they know you have extended a hand to one, others will come.
Yeah.
Okay. When it then comes to debt, have you guys ever struggled to pay off debt? I mean, either individually, when you're still single, or as a couple, and has it put a strain on your relationship? Because I know sometimes you get into debt that you think maybe you think that something's going to work out, and it doesn't work out, and then suddenly you're in debt, or you get into debt knowingly. And then have you ever been in a situation where you have struggled to pay off, and has it strained you guys in any way?
So far, no. I think just that fear of owing someone money is just something that we always just try to steer away from. Of course, when you've got bigger plans and you want to do bigger things, sometimes your own money won't be enough, and you need to do that. But I mean, so far we've really, really tried to just steer away from owing anyone money and just
accept each other,
living within our means. And right, I want you owe me. So yeah, I mean, so far we've been fortunate enough not to have been in that predicament aspect.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
But I'm also aware that as most couples, as you're planning your white wedding, there's marriage counseling that you need to go through. I'm not sure if you guys went through that people go through marriage counseling that covers a lot of topics, like how you deal with your in-laws and how you deal with finances. But do you think that's enough, during that short period prior to the wedding day? Do you think that's enough to just prepare people for what lies ahead of them? I mean, given the short experience that you already have, do you think that's enough?
I don't think it's enough, because most of the time you're talking to someone who isn't speaking from a place of, I guess, I don't want to say knowledge, but of practical knowledge. It's not an expert in the field where they know that I'm telling you this because I know this from work or from study. It's someone telling you of maybe past experience or emotions. So there's an element of you need to go a step further, I think.
Like Tino said, given an example of our personal counselor, just having that generic of, oh no, Murumi is the one who does all the working, and the mom is the wife is the one who then finds out how to spend the money and pays the bills and buys the food and all of that. It's sort of something that's also quite tangible. Like Tino said that it'll never be enough. They can give you all the examples, all this and that, and it's up to you, onto how you take it, how you then make it practical, and use that knowledge that they would have given you from experience from talking to other couples. And what I appreciate about ours is that it's not just the generic type of things, where you're getting into conversations that are uncomfortable, where you're talking about things that maybe you've tried to think about on your own. But giving that kind of scenario is also quite important. So I think in terms of counseling, it's not just using the generic, oh no, love your wife, do this, give your wife your card. It's not very good. But just having practical examples, and then just at the end of the day, you now have to see how you use that counseling to the best of your ability.
Okay, that's really good, because I was going to ask you what more you thought could be done, and I think you've already highlighted on that. But speaking generally on the financial education landscape, it's maybe not necessarily targeted towards couples and people going into marriage. What's your take on it? Do you think there's enough financial education out there, or there's more that can be done? And how soon do you think people need to start learning about financial principles, budgeting, investing, and all those things to prepare them also for life when they are now in union?
I think there's still a lot to be taught, because there are a lot of things that I guess we learned in university, stuff like simple budgeting, where, I could be in grade 1, and we taught simple budgeting, where I'm taught how to, I guess, use my money, spend my money. So I think there's a lot more practical knowledge that needs to be taught. I think we're very good on theory, but, Zim it isn't by the book. A lot of things happen that I think no book can explain. So we need to be raised for educated on what's here, because there's times that you go out there and you just can't function because you don't know what anything is. For the longest time I thought debt was always a bad thing, And I feel like not all debt, now that I've kind of grown up and experienced that, you can owe, but if you're planning to give back, it's okay.
Yeah.
You always have the money to do certain things.
Yeah. And then in addition, Tino said that it's not enough. Of course, we're not saying that we're going to take a grade 7 pupil and be like, you know what investing is, do you know what, stocks are or whatever. But I think bit by bit, you're sending your child to boarding school, you're giving her $100, and one child will know it all in 1 week, and just trying to teach them how to be responsible with their money. The older they get, you take it up a notch and that kind of thing. I learned at a local university, and I think they're trying to do something similar whereby they cancelled the degree program, entrepreneurship, and they made it a compulsory module for everyone, despite of what program you're studying at the time. And it's fair and all, but not everyone is an entrepreneur, so it's sort of like we get what you're trying to do, trying to prepare people before they go into the actual field out there. But I feel like maybe financial literacy would have been better, because everyone is out there for the money, not necessarily through an entrepreneurial route. So I think in terms of that kind of thing, they made an effort, but I don't know how many other schools are trying to do the same thing. So I don't think that in terms of the educational level that we're near, in terms of, trying to get it quite early into people's minds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, going into 2021, well, before that, we're going to have 2 major holidays in between, being Christmas and New Year itself. Any spending taking place? What are the plans? Because people need to plan these holidays, otherwise there's what people normally refer to as January disease. I don't know where that really comes from, or if it really is a disease or just lack of planning. But now that we're getting to the major holidays, how are you guys placing yourselves? Are you planning ahead of the holidays, or right now the mind is on Christmas and New Year?
The mind is on the wedding at the end of the day. We're actually closer than you think. So in terms of like planning and the like, yes, Christmas is there. We've got a lot of family that's around at the time. A lot of people who didn't manage to travel are traveling. So it's a bit difficult. Days soon. So there's a lot of festivities that are happening, but I think at the back of our minds, we know that, we've got a short-term plan that we have that we're really trying to work towards while trying to be human at the same time. So it's quite a juggle.
I'm beginning to realize in this conversation that some of my questions might have been misplaced. All you guys are thinking about right now is wedding.
No.
There's a lot of hype and excitement around it, but the good thing is we're having this conversation, and while the wedding will come and go, immediately after that, the marriage begins, right? So it's important that we have this conversation, because a lot of people think that, when you get to the wedding, you've arrived. And everything is going to be rosy after that. But it's only then that the real marriage begins, and it's where all the problems start coming in. So I'm glad you're thinking about the wedding, and the fact that we're having this conversation also means that now you're thinking about the marriage as well, and what needs to happen within it. Okay, but what general advice would you give to people in any demographic of your choice, like with regards to how they need to be spending over this period, maybe going into 2021, you could probably just give advice to the youth out there, to the elderly. What kind of advice comes to your mind on how people need to be planning now, given the current situation that we're in?
I think what the biggest thing that I'll say is any saving is a saving. You start somewhere, because the misconception is that for me to save, it has to be a substantial amount that, tomorrow I turn around and I need to do something, I can pull out $10,000. But I think, if anything, the beginning is about learning discipline, where, if you save $1 today, 3 months down the line, it won't hurt you saving $10. 3 months down the line, it won't hurt you saving 100. So I think it's just start where you can. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I take it back to the story about our Zanzibar trip, when we looked at the figures initially, they looked ridiculous. We were like, there's no way we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But for a year, we saved every month, saying that, this $5 is going there. And you'd be surprised that the $5 covers your transport in Zanzibar for a day. Not that it does, but it's an example.
Yeah.
So I'm saying start small, start somewhere, and build from there.
Yeah.
No, I
totally agree with what you're saying. Like, even with young people, something that I wish I did, just like we spoke about earlier, just trying to get a bit more understanding on finances, just not generally spending, but thinking about, even if it's just the next couple of months, you've got to plan for it, how to save for it, how to budget for it, how to work hard for it, not necessarily having one job clearly has taught us in 2020 that anything can happen. So, that little small business idea that you have, you can try it. If it does not, it's fine. If it does, kudos. But I mean, just having that kind of mentality of trying to get your hands into many things that, if it works here, it does there, it will help in the end, in terms of how your mind thinks in terms of funds. So I really think that people should just try, at least try before you call it a failure. I don't know finance, try first.
Mm-hmm. So I think everything that you have said just proves that adage correct, that if you take care of the cents, the dollars will take care of themselves. So no matter how small it is, you just need to save it in I was going to say other things also, but it just depends on how you're going to be saving it, because some things just could get eroded, inflation and everything else. So there has to be some level of wisdom as to how you're saving the money, what currency you're saving it in, what other instruments you're saving the money in, so that at least it could be in an interest-bearing investment where you know that the interest that is accruing will outpace inflation, or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of education, like you guys already highlighted, that's required for people to be able to make these wise decisions, to then say, in what form are we saving our money? If the trip is going to be a year from now, like you're planning for Zanzibar, how do we then save this money to make sure that by the time we actually go for the trip, the money still has the value that we need to have? Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to ask you one last question now because of our time. Unfortunately, I have not been able to see what's taking place on Facebook. I'm sure there's a lot of traffic in terms of the questions that people are asking. They're probably liking the interview. They want to ask you guys questions, but I'm not able to open it from my side. I just don't know what's happening with the Facebook page on my side, but I hope the questions are there, and we'll get to tackle them later at a later stage, and probably have you guys back to answer them if there are questions directed to you. If the team that's watching could just assist me with that, I could ask the questions, but unfortunately I can't see them now. But the last question that I had to the both of you was to say, if you could change one thing about the way that you've handled your finances in the past, in order to prepare for what life has taught you now, what would it be? There are probably bad decisions that you made before in the past, or certain things that you just wish you could have changed to improve the situation that you're in now. What would those one or two things be?
I think for me, just saving earlier, putting more effort into research, finding out how people are saving, people my age, people a bit older than me, just getting a bit of inspiration. Because I mean, if you're not researching, you're not gaining knowledge on how others are doing it. Because the last thing, with that person who's sitting saying, how are they getting money? How are they managing to do that? It's research, make the effort to find out if it means saving $1 a day, 10 bucks a week, whatever it is, starting from somewhere, and as soon as possible. I started that a bit earlier.
And I think on my end, I would say taking a step back when you receive unexpected money. The times where maybe you're people, I think taking a step back and saying, okay, I have this money, let me think of what to do with it. Because the immediate response is, I have more than I need, so let me spend.
Yeah.
It's just a natural response where you're not thinking, okay, fine, I can get 2 scoops of ice cream today instead of 1. Take a step back, breathe. Really, fine. Do I really need to do this, or do I want to do it? I think separating between your needs and your wants is very important, where you have more money than you are used to having.
Yeah.
No, you guys, I think your party shots are amazing. You guys really have been amazing. So what I'm taking home here is that you need to start saving earlier and you need to do your research. And whenever you get a windfall, just take a step back and then plan. Money just doesn't come and then you just go all out and spend it because it's now there. You just now need to sit down, relax, collect your thoughts, and then start deciding how you're going to spend the money. I mean, you guys really have been amazing. I don't know if there's anything else that you really want to just share with the people that are viewing the program right now, or I don't know, if there's anything else that you want to share before I just close off, because I just need to announce the winners of the people that participated in the competition that we run every time we have these live chats.
No, I just want to thank everyone for listening.
You wouldn't want to dilute what you said, because I do think the party shots that you gave were really
The real answer.
Our parents are watching.
Now, I'm sure they've already seen how responsible you guys are. All right, thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this live.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us on this live chat. You guys really have been a good support. But before we do sign off, I just want to announce the winners for this particular week and the competition that was run this week. We've got a winner on Instagram. That's Tatiana Russell, and then we've got a winner on Twitter, which is Miko O'Mercy, or is it Mikleo Mercy? Miko O'Mercy on Twitter. And then on Facebook, we've got B Rudo. That's B-E-E, Rudo. That's on Facebook. So these are the winners that we have for this week's challenge. If you guys could just share your details with us on the Old Mutual page, let us know what the closest Old Mutual branch or Green Zone branch would be that you can collect your branded material from, and then we'll be in touch with you. But other than that, I'd like to thank all those of you that have managed to tune in today and to watch this live, and thank you for joining us, and just hope that you can continue to be with us. We'll have more exciting programs coming forth in the near future with regards to the On the Money program and how people can best manage their finances. With us today we have Tino and Miji, and I'd like to thank you guys so much for being with us today, and I hope people learned a lot, especially as far as preparing for marriage is concerned and what they need to be doing to plan for such big commitments in life. So thank you so much guys for having us, and up until we meet again, just wish everyone a happy rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Alrighty. Bye.